platforms. Can you imagine? I'm so nervous. But you do it anyways because you have an assignment. You see, sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. This is nerve-wracking. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to lie to you, but you have an assignment. And for those of you that are believers and you don't believe in your assignment, then you're not aligned to your beliefs. Because if things get you scared, shout out to the Aarons of the world, both the male and the female. They are right here, right now, already in the VIP room, waiting to jam right after we turn off the live broadcast. So let me just take a deep breath. Whew. Whew. Let's see. It's also going to be on LinkedIn. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? And the titles also, oh my gosh, I'm refreshing my amazing, oh, okay. I just saw my phone that we are live on LinkedIn as well. And I'm only on the Facebook. I'm seeing the Facebook right now. Welcome to challenge day 6. When I clap my hand, the nerves go away and now there's no more nerves. We have to overcome our nerves because, guys, if we believe that we have an assignment in this world, we must believe that these nerves need to be overcame. Is that the right English? Is that the proper English? Well, anyways, broken English or not, I am here making it happen. Today is challenge day 6 out of 10. Day 6 out of 10. And we are going to talk about introduction to money and marriage because all week today, we are talking about, I'm also, by the way, on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. There was another one I forgot, but I could go on like 30 different platforms, but I'm only on 5 right now. So money and marriage, this is a huge topic of conversation. And I have this masterclass called 5 Don'ts on Money and Marriage. And it has become the most listened to and the most popular masterclass I've ever had because it's a polarizing view. And here's the deal. If you feel like, whoa, that was so strong, Kareen, I don't know if I could co-sign with that. I need you to keep your hearts and minds open. Because sometimes when we feel as if we're offended by a thought, we have to go through a thought process to keep our hearts and minds open. We have to go through I feel like it's an invitation for you to listen and hear other people's opinion. Because what's happening nowadays is that we shut down and we walk away. That's not what adults do. Adults have really, really good conversation. The problem with this particular live broadcast is you're not going to be able to have a conversation with me unless you're inside my VIP, my private Zoom. For those of you that are new to me, my name is Kareen Mills. My name is Kareen Mills, and I help you make peace with your money through financial education and literacy inside my global platform, Multiply, or inside my empire right now called Multiply. Our mission is to help you create matrix-like awareness around your money game. Because until you can have matrix-like awareness, and matrix-like awareness, I think when it lands on people, they think it's just like this humongous awareness. Financial freedom starts when you have more month at the end of the money, and then you just keep doing it as a lifestyle rather than just a one-time deal. It becomes your lifestyle, and then through that new lifestyle that you live, you begin to build your matrix-like awareness around your money game so you can become unstoppable. Our mantra is do the work. No one, and I mean no one, is coming to save you. You're the only one that's coming to save you. So make sure that you make a commitment to hashtag do the work. The 3 pillars of Multiply is money, time, and impact. Money comes first. It's not all about money, but money touches everything, and it touches everything that you love. Money comes first as a sequence to this madness. Number 2, time, and number 3, impact. So don't shuffle that sequence. The sequence has to be in that order. The 3 stages of Multiply, which is a proprietary process, is money making or money keeping, money making, and money multiplying. Let me repeat, because budgeting is not the end all be all. In fact, if you missed the last 5 days last week, you need to go to the Multiply Influence Facebook and watch the replay. One of the day's title was budgeting is not step 1. Because if you don't have money at the end of the month and you have a more month at the end of the money, you have nothing to budget. So what is step 1 is awareness. Remember I said our mission is to help you create matrix like awareness. That's actually step number 1, which is money keeping. It's part of money keeping process. Number 2, we have some VIPs that's already achieved and overcame step number 1, money keeping, and now they have more money at the end of their month. We need to move to the second stage, which is money making. If there's simply just not enough money coming in after we do all the work, after we are looking at everything, looking at cash outflow, and then budgeting, we just simply need to bring more money into the household and maybe build another stream of income. That's the money making part. And then the third stage is the funnest stage. And in this stage, I always like to say we work hard for our money while we're awake on stage 1 and 2. On stage number 3, it's our money's turn to work hard for us while we go to bed. So make sure that you have stage 3 as part of your financial goals, right? Because I hope you don't plan on working until you're 85 years old. I hope by a certain stage in your life that there is a pivot point, that it's your money's turn to work hard for you while you're sleeping. And by the way, you don't have to wait until later. That's why stage 1 and 2 is important, because you can have both. You could live in your legacy. You don't have to leave behind a legacy. I was made in the Philippines, born and raised. I came to America with broken English. I went from broken English to broke in 4 months. Another story for another day, but it was money related. Remember, money touches everything, and it touches everything that you love. Money is my jam now, but it hasn't always been my jam. It jammed me first, like really bad. But you know what I know now about adversities? They're gifts. They're gifts so you could overcome them. And when you overcome them, on the other side is the skill set with which you need to deliver your greatness. So if you run away from your adversities and play victim for such a long time about it, yes, Karine, but I'm human. I need to cry and mourn about it. Totally fine, because I'm human too. I do that too. We have to cry and mourn about it, but please mourn on, cry on. Don't stay in one place. Keep moving forward. Because, and by the way, when you keep moving forward, you start healing. You start finding ways and reasons to help you solve, whatever it is that you're going through adversity wise. Whatever you need to overcome, you start creating that skill set to overcome. And once you overcome it for yourself, guess what? Someone out there will have the same problem as you. I always say, actually, it was my birthday yesterday, 44th. Shout out to all the 40s, Club 40. And I shared the top 3 things I learned about life. Number 1, guard your time. Number 2, guard your energy. And number 3, guard your associations. And what I said in number 3, and I explained everything, every single one of it, right? I explain every single one of it. And what I said in the part where it says guard your associations was invest time and money into learning from people that can increase your average. And then create a container or products or services to go ahead and help other people and serve other people with what you learn, so you too can increase their average. It's exactly what I'm doing right now. I am helping people to increase their average. You see? Because sometimes when we hear this old adage about you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, okay? But are we just supposed to pluck people out of our life because we want to increase our average? No, let me share with you a process. My process is I go invest money and time, right, on masterminds, on learning from other people so I can increase my average. I am very committed to increasing my average, my personal average, my PA. But I also am not selfish, so that when I come back, I keep it to myself. I open a container called Multiply, and I let you in on that secret. I share it with you. I serve you with it so you too can increase your average. Now, does that decrease my average? Sure, it does. But it is my responsibility to go get more. As a servant leader, it is my obligation and responsibility, especially to my assignment in this planet, to get more so I can keep increasing my average. John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid. The law of the lid says, and we all have our little versions, right? The law of the lid says that as a servant leader, you can only allow other people to grow as much as you grow. Otherwise, you have a lid when you stop. You have a limit, right? We all know it's unlimited, but we got to go get it. We got to go get it and then give it. You see, that's how it works. But a lot of people don't explain further what you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Rather, it's more of a negative thing. So I love making everything tangible. And if you've been here for the last 5 days, you know that I make it all tangible. I explain it further because people need to understand. I need to break it down. They say that the best servant leaders out there breaks it down for people like, you know, as sometimes maybe for especially super smart people, when they hear the word elementary, they get offended. We just need to get over these things. We need to get over this offended feeling. We need to be open. In fact, if you write a book, and by the way, I'm writing a book, and it's going to put me on the map because it's just an amazing book. It's not about my story. It's about money. And it actually has to do with marriage or prior to. I'm not going to say it because what I do tell people is if you have an idea, make sure you keep it to yourself first until you've got all your ducks in a row. Right? And so when you write a book, the editor will tell you to use simple words that a 5th grader can understand. Okay? Because not every single person out there has the same speed as the other person. It's just the variations. There's nothing against the smarts that you have. It's a variation of different speed of people, right? And we gotta be able to serve everybody. So when you feel like you're offended, it's a very, very personal thing, right? You just focus on your own personal stuff. We have to think about the whole world. It's not about you. It's never about you. Math was my favorite subject in school. And of course, multiplication is the most powerful one, right? It's very obedient. If you're a woman or man of faith or a person of faith, it's also very powerful because it's exponential. Guys, today we are talking about introduction to marriage and money. Let me break it down for you since we are currently in the introduction. And tomorrow we're going to get deeper than introduction. Let me see. I have my list of titles here, and I think I'm going to change my titles. I like to tell you because if one of those titles land really well for you, then you're going to come back. This is, by the way, a free challenge, and I go live the first hour of the day. And it's a real challenge for those Pacific Standard Time human beings because it's 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., but the replays are on. So no worries over there, right? You got to catch up. But if you really want to take the challenge as a real challenge for you, you got to be here live. You got to interact in the comments. You got to say something in the comment. If I said something that offended you, say something about it. Don't just be quiet about it, but don't be nasty about it. Do you understand? Be nice about it and be civil about it. We don't need to be nasty to people just because, because some people are actually, hang on a second. Some people are actually not good with confrontation, okay? But for some reason, being on social media gives them a lot of courage to confront people. My goodness, this is dying. What the heck? Okay, my phone is dying. Clubhouser, my phone is dying. So if it ends, you're gonna have to go to the other platforms. Marriage. Let's break it down because when we say introduction to marriage and money, there's actually two words in there, right? We've got marriage and money. Remember I said money touches everything, but this week we're going to talk about how money touches a marriage or a relationship for that matter. So make sure you grab your notebooks, grab your pen or pad or paper and write things down. Marriage is recognized as a union of two people as partners in a personal relationship. So there's a lot of words there that, guys, I want you to do this as you read, because you know how like there's always the notoriety, I read one book a week or one book a day. That's great. But if you didn't capture the idea or the premise of the book and you just capture like a small slice of it, then there's really like this not for me that shouldn't be a pat on the back, right? But I like to slow read now because of this. So even just in that one sentence, marriage is recognized as a union of two people as partners in a personal relationship. There's a lot of words in there that I need to break down. So I like to read with a journal now, and I write things down. And when you do that, you don't just become a speed reader or a good reader, you become a good reflector. You start reflecting on things, not overanalyzing things, right? You just start reflecting on things in a very different way. And you remember all these things because you're writing journal at the same time as you are reading. So marriage is recognized as a union. Let's talk about a union. A union. You become one unit. You unite, right? So understand that when you get married, you join forces. But what happens is when money comes into play, that union word almost always disappears throughout the marriage. Shout out to my married people, right? Because tough times come. It's not always honeymoon stage. For you to think that it's just going to be all wedding stage, exciting, taking photographs, eating good food with family, that's just the very spark beginning of the marriage stage. It's not like that every day. Let me just tell, it's not like that every day. So if you think it's like that every day, you're asking for rainbows and unicorn. That's why this word union is there, because we need you to understand that Through thick or thin, in sickness and in health, till death do we part. We need to unite. There's got to be union. But you don't break it down. You just like hurry up and get married, right? Because you're so in love. So in love. You want to preserve the love by understanding what you're getting into. Do you see? We just go to the love. Love is grand. Let's see if that's one of my title, actually. I don't think that's one of my title. Love is grand. Divorce is 10 grand. It's not on my title. Maybe I'll write it down. Hang on a second. Love is, even I have notes here, notebook and pen, and I'm the teacher today. So if you don't have a pen and a paper, shame on you. Love is grand, divorce is 10 grand. So, you know, a union of two people as partners in a relationship or personal relationship. In business, because I like to refer to the marriage as the business of marriage. In business, it could be more than two people. In a marriage, it's a union of two people as partners in a personal relationship. So partners is the second word I would like to break down for you. Partners are a pair of people engaged together in the same activity, because remember, you become a union. So you should engage in the same activity. But what happens is when the honeymoon stage is over, we go about the different activities. We're always going to be two separate people, right? With two separate interests. But when it comes to money, you better have a regular meeting. And we'll break it down here as we go later in the week. You better have a practice that you do together that you commit to, because it's a partnership. And what do you do when you are in a partnership in business? You agree to do a similar thing to achieve a target in business or to achieve a certain goal in your business. Because why would you get into a business if you're not going to do the same thing as partners? It's the same thing in marriage. You have to go for the same goal. You have to engage in the same activity, right? So marriage is recognized as the union. We've addressed what the union is all about, of two people. Hopefully you only marrying one other person. I don't think that's legal yet, because we've seen a lot of that used to be over the top, right? But now it's becoming a reality. So I wouldn't let anything pass in this world right now, because this world is kind of getting crazy. As partners, we've already addressed partners. Partners is a pair of people engaged in the same activities, right? And then we have quote unquote personal relationship. It's very personal, right? It can get very personal. And then partnership. Let me talk about partnership. Partnership is an arrangement of two people in a marriage, or more than two people in a business, to oversee operations and share its profits and liabilities. Oversee operations and share its profits and liabilities. There's a lot to break down here. And by the way, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Clubhouse. There was another one, I can't remember. I'm on all kinds of platforms. This is really exciting, you guys. Let's see, I'm going to tell you which other platform. Twitter. Oh my gosh, how could I forget about Twitter? I'm on 5 different platforms. I'm having so much fun. This is so cool. I love technology. I used to say I'm such a techno moron, but I decided in 2018 that I'm going to change the narrative and say, I love technology. I love technology. And guess what happens? The good technology comes to me. You see, everything you say to yourself is real. You make it real by saying it. So when you change it, when you change the narrative, you also make it real, whatever the narrative is. So let's go to partnership. It's an arrangement between two people in a marriage or more people in a business operation. And your marriage is a business operation. You sign a contract. Like a lot of us don't really granulize this like that, right? It's a contract that you sign. And there's certain things in that contract that you need to understand. And you are going to have to share its profits and liabilities, not just the honeymoon stage, which can feel like the profit. Because when the liability comes, what happens to the marriage? That's what you need to address. See, we always like to address the beginning, right? The beginning. Here's the thing. If you don't address the middle, you're going to have to address the end. You go straight to the end. If you don't address the middle and you only address the beginning, it's inevitable that you may just go to the end. But if you address the middle before you start the beginning, you have a high probability of not ever getting to the end. There's no guarantee, right? There's not ever a guarantee. I don't ever make any guarantee for people, but the probability of actually avoiding the end when you address the middle before you start in the beginning is a lot higher. Here's why. You both were raised by two sets of parents, two different sets of parents, and they both have a different idea. Each one of them, they both have a different idea about money. I'm looking at I'm going into the live Zoom in the background just to make sure I see who's there. Like I'm gonna mute some of you because you got to get muted when you come in the VIPs. All right. You have to address the middle. And this is shout out to the Grant Cardone out there. I was in one of his masterclass and he talked about the middle. Okay. He talked about the middle and he said that there was a lady asking about, should I buy this property? And Grant said, I know you're probably not going to listen to me because you're on a high right now. You're in the honeymoon stage of like, the property is just so great. You're, blah, blah, blah. You're kind of overlooking the numbers. What happens when there's no tenant in there or, all the worst stuff? Because, you got to be a realist sometimes in business. Like you got to look at the numbers. What happens is, well, there's going to be so much good in the future. It's in Austin, Texas. There's going to be so much good in the future. Okay, but that's in the future. What happens? Can you afford to hold this property if things happen, like risk-wise? Like he's thinking about risk management, and that's what I'm thinking about because I come from the insurance world. So he's thinking about risk management, and this lady was like, well, I have enough money to hold it. And Grant says, how rich are you? And the lady says, not as rich as you. And he said, well, I wouldn't buy the property. So that should answer your question. I don't buy the property. And you said I'm not as rich as you. So you shouldn't buy the property, lady. Right? We get into this high and we forget to address the middle. And he said, you have to address the middle, even in the real estate investment world. And you got to look at the worst case scenario. And can you afford to hold the property when ish hits the fan? Right? And that was that. And he defined it as, it's like, this property is like buying a yacht. It's exciting when you buy the yacht. Your first few embarkation is exciting. And then when the middle comes, the maintenance, the mortgage, the whatever that is necessary to maintain a certain asset starts sucking your money away. He said, like buying a yacht, you're only happy twice, when you bought it and when you sell it. It's the same with marriage. If you don't address the middle, it's only exciting twice, when you get married during the wedding and when you get divorced at the end, because you did not address the middle. That's why I keep talking about addressing the middle even before you get into the contract, because marriage is a contract. Yes, we love at first sight. Yes, we fall in love as we get to know each other. But here's a tip, pro tip. Here's a pro tip, because a lot of people, especially my ladies, what up, ladies? Especially my ladies out there. Oh, Corrine, that's just weird. Talk about money. You know, I'm still dating this guy and I'm not really there yet. Here's a pro tip. Even during maybe the second date, right? Just ask, hey, we're getting to know each other. I'd love to know how your childhood was. Especially, like, guys, you think about me and my spouse, right? My husband. I grew up on the other end of the Pacific, the tropics, the Philippines. Shout out to my Filipino people. The Philippine Islands, warm, amazing warm water. And then he grew up in the Oregon coast, cold AF, cold water AF, but it's still the Pacific, but on the other side of the Pacific. Just that difference should tell you that there's more differences, right? Should tell you that not only that I was raised and he was raised by another set of parents who, by the way, will have two separate thoughts around money, or we separately were molded around money in a very different way from a very different background. You're going to have issues when you get married. It's just a given. For you to not understand that that's a given, and because you are masking everything with love and falling in love, and you're dismissing the reality of what the marriage will really look like during the middle, is rainbows and unicorns. You got to discipline your expectation. And I mean, if you don't believe me, go talk to married people. If you don't believe me, just go talk to married people, or think about your childhood, right? Think about how your parents were. Think about the moment where they were fighting about something. And I'm almost certain, not 100%, but I'm almost certain that they were fighting sometimes around money because things weren't addressed before. So ask the date, the hot date, during the hot date, ask, like, I want to know about you. I want to know how your childhood was. You don't got to like throw the word money, especially when you don't know what their background around money is, because that could mean, like, I was born and raised in the Philippines. That could mean a taboo, right? Because we could be raised, and shout out to those of you that were raised by a parent that really sat you down and talked to you like an adult and told you about money and didn't hide life behind, right? Didn't hide life around you. Rather, they exposed you and showed you what real life looks like. Shout out to the parents that does that. But for you that's like being shown all of this stuff, because you have no choice when you live under someone else's roof, especially as a child, you're going to get exposed how they showed you around money. That is your molding. Whether you like it or not, you become your parents. So ask, how was your childhood? Because I can almost always guarantee that the money part will show up, because a lot of us in our stories, when we tell that story, we blame our parents. And we don't have a problem blaming our parents, but Now you have a different set of lens because you are here listening to me and learning from me. When they mention, oh, my mom, you know, this and that, or my dad was this and that, you know who you're facing because they become their parents. The things that they see their parents do until the time that they realize that their subconscious is full of all of those, and they decide to regulate it and learn how to be the boss of their subconscious, those will show up in the middle of your marriage. Those will show up in your relationships, unannounced, because they're in there. You can't slice it off. You can't remove it. It is part of your making. It's part of who you are. So just ask the simple question, how was your childhood? And zip your mouth and let the other person talk. And they will take you on a very nice journey. And you take notes, mental notes, of course, to see how this person was molded like when it comes to money and even all the other stuff, right?
Right.
So that way you know who you're up against, or or whether or not you have enough budget to tolerate things that are going to come out of that person and show up unannounced. You know, you gotta use, I always say, use your brain. The heart can be tamed. Use your brain. Obviously, the heart's already working because you're in front of that person, right? But in order to address the middle, you have to begin to use your brain first, so you can see the middle, because the heart will only see the beginning, and then the heart will get broken if you have to get to the end. What you're trying to do is being proactive so that when you become a union, remember I described marriage as a union, is recognized as a union of two people as partners in a personal relationship. When you become a union for life. If that's like, okay, you go to a wedding. I just actually went to a wedding not too long ago, October. October for me relatively is not too long ago because of last year, because since that day, I haven't gone to a wedding for years, right? So when you go to a wedding, you'll see the couple, they're so madly in love with each other. They're holding hands and saying their vows. And we say, through thick or thin, or sickness and in health, till death do we part. But what happens in the middle? Like, did you forget your vows? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we have to mean what we say. Actually, all the time we should. But do we forget our vows? Now, granted, I want to say this to you. Granted, there's situation that you must break a marriage. There are situations out there. So for those of you that are thinking, I am in the money world, so I'm talking about money and marriage, okay? I'm not a professional to address all the other stuff. I'm in the financial world. So I know, like, sometimes when people hear you and they didn't hear from the beginning and they just popped in your live and they hear you, they're judging you based on what you just said. Don't do that, people. Really get context. We need to stop the judgment. We need to get the context. You know, we can't really, like, we need to avoid these behaviors that are so uncalled for. So I want to just acknowledge those that are, you know, in a situation where you must break it apart. There's situations out there that you simply should not tolerate. But when it comes to money or the lack thereof, there is a lot of commitment you can make together as a union of two people. But it's not going to work very well when only one person makes that commitment. It's a very hard thing to make work. And the problem with us humans is we try and push it on the other person because we're supposed to be the one bringing the bacon home. And I'm talking about the stay-at-home moms or the moms or the dads, you know, shout out to the dads for Father's Day from yesterday. I shared a day with the dads. It was my birthday too. But we push it on the other person because maybe we make the most and the other person maybe just has a side hustle and stay at home, whatever the reason is. That's just nasty. I took a pause because I want everybody to hear that, whether you're the one that makes a lot of the bacon and you're pushing all these obligation on the other person or vice versa. I don't know what your situation is. And you make it, the reason is that you go make the most bacon. No, don't do that. To me, that's nasty. Make the commitment, because remember, see, this is the thing. We don't remember what we said in our wedding, and we don't understand what we're really getting into. If you know you're getting into a marriage and you're here right now listening to me saying marriage is recognized as the union of two people as partners in a personal relationship, overseeing a business operation, because I call business as the business of marriage, and share its profits and liabilities. That means you should have one target and a team of people going after that target, regardless of the position of the person in the team. You think about a team of people in a corporation, right? There's an admin person, there's the acquisition department or the marketing department. There's all kinds of department, and those people don't make the same amount of money. They don't make the same amount of money. So why would you tell your spouse, you do that because I bring home the bacon? Do you tell your boss that makes more money than you? Or when you're a leader in a corporation, do you say, well, you do that because I make more money than you? I'm on LinkedIn Live too. For those of you that are on LinkedIn, do you do that as a leader? I hope not. And the problem is we take our leader's hat off when we get home and we get nasty to our spouse. Don't do that. That leadership hat should be with you wherever you go, whatever you do, and whatever position you play, whether it's dad, mom, spouse, husband, wife. That leadership hat should be on you no matter what. Here's what a real leader would do. Honey, we're having money problems. We both need, and the kids need, to be part of this journey. We need to fix it. We need to commit to maybe a weekly meeting to look at our finances. Maybe when the statements come, corporations do this because they want to run a profitable business. You should commit to a profitable household. And in your household, you have a team of people. By the way, don't allow your kids to run the show. This will be in the later part of the week. But today we're talking about just the introduction of it, right? But I want to say this, since we are alluding to this, do not allow your children to run the show. You run the show. Because I see a lot of families where the kids, at a drop of the hat, they demand what they want and they get what they want. I'm against that. They don't always get what they want. They got to earn what they want. I don't care how much money you have. Because what happens is you're robbing your child of them learning how to manage that, learning how to earn, learning how to have their own journey in life. You see? Having a better skill set around money. Because if you hand it to them all the time, and death is a parent, by the way, we're not here forever. That's the only thing we know for certain that's going to happen to us. The problem is we don't know when that fateful day comes. Shout out to the life insurance people up in this empire. I was going to say something bad, but up in this empire, right? I used to sell insurance, and I sold all kinds of insurance, and I know my insurance professionals will love me to say this, even though I'm not in the industry anymore, that it was so easy for us to sell auto insurance, home insurance, second home insurance, jewelry insurance, all the things, right? But it was so difficult for us. It's like pulling teeth to sell someone even just a term life policy. You could see what the legacy looks like just with that. When you deal with the person, especially, by the way, don't say this nasty stuff in front of your insurance professional. This is nasty. And I used to hear this all the time being on the other side of the desk. Well, she's just going to marry someone new anyways, so I don't care. Don't do that. She's just going to go take it with the new man. What happens to through thick or thin, in sickness and in health, to death do we part? It went away. I don't know when it went away. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you, first of all, why would you marry somebody that you don't care about? Especially in like the life insurance conversation. Oh, they can, guys, we live near a river, right? And you would be surprised what kinds of other things I hear from people. Well, they can just throw my body in the river so the fish can eat me. It's like, oh my gosh, okay. You know, you hear all the crazy stuff that people tell you, but hey, let's insure my classic cars, my motorcycles, my things, because they're important to me. You can tell what legacy that person wants to either live or leave just in that one small conversation. I need you to take your leadership from whatever you do professionally into your household. You cannot leave your leadership. In fact, I have a leadership program called Leadership to Legacy. It's a 4-month leadership program. Leadership to Legacy. Because a lot of people don't have a defined, refined, and clear legacy. So what they do in their leadership is not aligned to their legacy. If you want to know more, the wait list is actually open right now. Just message me the word leadership, and then we'll send you the form to be on the wait list. It's not open. The wait list is growing and flowing, but the leadership must be applied to the household. You know, I don't care how much money each other make. Do you have one target and one target only for your family, or a common goal for your family? Include your children in it. Oh, they're small. Yes, perfect. That's the best time. Because when they're adults, it's harder to recondition them because you already conditioned them when they were young. So if you have young kids, get them involved as early as possible, because it's easier to condition a younger mind than an adult mind. I'm telling you, it's hard. You know, when you're conditioned the certain way, because I was conditioned, I'll be the first one because I have experience, right? This is experiential. The nasty stuff I watched growing up shows up in my relationships until I made the decision that those things are no longer going to be controlling me. I am the boss, and I'm not going to allow that to show up. And if it does, I know how to regulate it, because it will. That's what healing process that does. Hopefully you are in the healing process, whatever it was. Now, if it was good, great, retain it and get it better, because there's always room for improvement, right? There's always modern day. I always say I'm a modern day money coach, because the coaching back in the days is obsolete. It hasn't changed. I'm here to let you know that it has evolved, and we have to evolve with it. So make sure that, hopefully, if you did not catch a lot of notes fast enough, and oh my gosh, remember I told you guys I was a little nervous when I started this, because I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm in 5 different platforms right now. And then I said, if you are aligned with your legacy, your leadership will overcome that nerve. I know my legacy. I know my assignment in this world. Therefore, my leadership is a control tower that directs all of these nerves, all of these emotions, all of these imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it. They're all going to take you out if you don't have enough leadership to overcome it and do it anyways. Because confidence is not something you get, something you earn by doing. Confidence is not, oh, I wish I'm like you, I'm confident. No, courage comes first before confidence. Courage is first. And when you overcome those nasty things that starts coming up for you because of your leadership, the confidence will be coming. Courage is the building blocks of your confidence. You have to build it by doing. And the more you practice, the more confident you are. By golly, especially with someone like me who has English as the third language. I have an extra baggage here. So if you only, for those of you that don't have English as a second language, I've got extra baggage. And if I can do it, you too can. If I can do it, you too can. Don't allow those things to knock your leadership out. Make sure your leadership is right there with you and it's clear. And if you need help, message me the word leadership or comment if you're, I don't know which platform you're at. Every platform is a different language, right? Talking about English as a third language. Now, all these platforms, they have different languages. But if you're in a platform where you could comment below, just comment leadership because we review those anyway. Comment leadership. If you're, because here in the Northwest, it's been cool. I think starting yesterday was raining and then today's cool, right? And if you, the number one thing, I posted something yesterday after my day was wrapped up. It was my birthday. And I shared 3 things that I learned in life. And number one was to guard your energy. And part of the guard your energy thing that I said was invest time in creating a morning routine because it will allow you to own your day like a warrior. Really, it does. It doesn't matter what morning routine you have. It doesn't matter if you walk for, I don't know, 1 mile, 2 miles. Nobody's going to make you wrong, but don't make other people wrong. Like, I think sometimes we say, oh, you got to do this because this is what I do. No, just build a morning routine. Whatever works for you. If you're a mom and you just had a baby and you're able to walk around the neighborhood, push your baby. No excuses. Push your baby in their stroller, right? Do the things that's necessary to align yourself to your legacy. But if you don't even know what that is, you need to start learning what that is. And you need to start, in fact, in the quiet of the morning is where I find a lot of my answers. That's why I say if you have a really good morning routine, and really good morning routine is a process. It doesn't come when you make a decision to have one. It's not going to be slapped right in front of you and perfectly and say, here comes your morning routine. Now go do it. In fact, I don't like to go from zero to hero, and I don't like people to go from zero to hero, because when you do zero to hero, what happens is you will not sustain it because you went from zero to hero. You have to gradually begin and get on the journey so you can solidify it to become your lifestyle rather than a temporary thing. And when it becomes a permanent thing for you, that it's like when you leave your phone at home and you have to come back and get your phone because you just don't feel complete. That's what your morning routine is going to be like for you. You will not complete your day without doing it in the front end, because it allows you to own your rest of the day. And you start eating problems for breakfast, you start eating problems for lunch, anything that comes your way, you're solid. You're like a warrior with all these metal shields, right? That's what I said, guard your energy. And I broke it down by building, if you don't have one yet, and if you have one and it's not clear to you, or you're not doing it on a daily basis, start really making that commitment, because it allows you to own your day like a warrior. And if you didn't see my post to wrap up my birthday yesterday, please go to any of my social media and you'll see it there. And comment there too. Like we always say, I want to build a community. Great. Great. Are you giving to others? You're not even liking other stuff. You can't build a community with I. You can only build a community with a lot of other people, but you must contribute. Everybody must contribute in order to build a community. So share, share, share. Comment, comment, comment. We have 1 minute left, and I go straight to the VIPs in the private Zoom room after. Unfortunately, that's my schedule for the next week right now. I don't have a conversation in any of the platforms. If you want to join the VIP, just go to any links, join the challenge. If you've already got the free challenge, because the challenge is free, obviously this first hour is free. And then the next 90 minutes I serve you, you serve me with your questions. I serve you and coach you to your questions. In fact, the more questions you have, the more we serve the community, because your question is not just for you. When I answer your question, is for everybody. It's not all about us. It's never about us. It's about that one question that may spark another question. So I turn off my live, which I'm due to do. Thank you all for being here. Again, just stalk me on social media and look for my link. If you're already in the free challenge and you want to be VIP so I can coach you to the questions that you may have, make sure you upgrade to VIP. And make sure you also join the club. On the bottom of the page of the VIP, there is a club explanation in there. Click the box and join that club, because every month I go on private Zoom with the club and I continue to coach with their question, because it's never just one question, ever. And remember, one of the things that I've learned in my 40s is guard your time. I don't give my time for free, except during challenges for 1 hour. And when you have, after the challenge, when you have a question, please do the same thing for your life, because it's not fair for the people that are paying in your club, or whatever you want to call the other stuff that you have going, when you give someone something for free. It's just not fair. It's not good business practice. So don't get offended when you ask me a question after the live broadcast and I send you the link to the challenge to join the challenge. Don't be offended. Start getting attracted to that person, because that's who you want to become anyway. You know, when I was committing to learning about multifamily syndication or creating my own fund, I asked this person, hey, how do I get in your ecosystem? And she said, write me a check. I said, I want to be just like that woman. She's the woman of my dreams. You see, when you start getting offended by these things, then you don't have good leadership. You need to have enough leadership to embrace these things. That's why you're stuck somewhere, because these things are still offending you. Unhook yourself from that. Those things are anchoring you down. That's a money block that's here. And we need to get regulated here. It's not rid. See, some people will use the word rid. I have stopped using the word of getting rid, because you can't get rid of it. Your conditioning is there inside. You just learn how to overcome and regulate it and override it through your leadership, because you're aligned to your legacy. There's certain things and bridges you have to cross, because on the other side is where you want to be. But if you don't cross the bridge because you're nervous, you feel like you have imposter syndrome, whatever the chatter is in here, get over that and cross the bridge. So that tomorrow, the title is Don't Wing the Money Part in Your Marriage. That's the title. Don't wing the money part in your marriage. Actually, maybe I'll change it to the Love is Grand, Divorce is 10 grand. Love is grand, divorce is 10 grand. So come back, make sure you put it on the calendar. If you're not in the challenge, if you want to get the notifications, we have like email sequences and whatnot that's automated. Optimize your time, automate your time, right? At 5 a.m. every day, you'll get an email saying, hey, we're going live now. Like, I am removing all the excuses that you have, but you got to read your email. You got to hashtag do the work. I can't do all the work for you. You got to do your part. So guys, have a wonderful day. It's time for me to go to my amazing VIP. Thank you so much for being here. Let me turn off the, let's see.